Hey there, welcome back. It's Charlie with Pryor Media here with another WordPress video for you. Today, I'm going to take a look at the CSS class index for ThemeCo and some of the different classes that you can use in this little formula they got here in the utility class section to manipulate the spacing of a lot of different things you have on your website. So if we take a look at the example here, and we're going to use Cornerstone for this, but a lot of this is applicable to Visual Composer as well. And if you're not using X, you can still use a lot of this stuff in concept. You'll just have to sort of consult your own, I guess your own theme to try to figure some of this stuff out. So let's get started. A couple of the problems that we have on this page. Well, this text is not lined up with this image. You can see that right now. The text is lower than the image is. So we're going to adjust that. We also got some access spacing here on headlines, which we can sort of manipulate there with classes as well. Then I've got this area here, which I'm going to use to illustrate to you the difference between margin and padding. So just so you can kind of see how that works. Then we've got some areas here where our content is stretched all the way to the edge of the browser, and we kind of got to make sure we get that sort of constrained where it should go, so that when it goes to like other devices, you don't see you see the text. It's right up against the edge. We don't like that. We definitely don't like that. No, it's not good. And then we're going to also take a look at some cool classes that you can do to say images to help manipulate spacing between areas. Same thing really above we did with the text here. We're going to also apply that down here. And then we're going to also take a look at, again with some margin and padding instruction on how to get background images to sort of line up the way you want. Okay? So hopefully by the end of this, you guys will be masters of spacing and sort of moving things around and manipulating your page to have things spaced out the way you want. Pretty much this entire video is about spacing things the way we want. Okay, so let's get started. If you are using X and you have access to ThemeCo's knowledge base, you can go to their knowledge base, obviously, and in the middle of their knowledge base page, somewhere down near the middle where it says customizations, you'll see a link that says CSS class index. That's where this page is located that I'm looking at, okay? So all the way down to the bottom of this page and then a little bit up, you're going to notice that we've got spacing helpers inside their utility classes. And this is a formula that you can put together and sort of add things up to manipulate the spacing of a lot of different things. We can target margin and we can target padding. We can also target the top, the left, the right, the bottom, all vertical spacing, all horizontal spaces, or all directions. And we can then also designate that these spaces that we're targeting are going to be none, small, medium, or large. And depending on what we want to do and where we want to do it, and I guess in the amount that we want to do it, we're going to assemble different letters together to come up with all of these different formulas that we can use for utilities here. Okay? So let's take a look at some practical examples of how we would do this. The first thing I want to do is I want to demonstrate to you the difference. It's a very important difference that a lot of people aren't getting. So I want to just really hammer this in. The difference between margin and padding. And you keep noticing if you go, like for instance in Cornerstone, a section, you'll see that we've got margin and padding controls. These are different things. A lot of people don't know the difference between them. They're just like, oh, if I add padding to the top, I add margin to the top, it does the same thing. No, it doesn't do the same thing. It sometimes looks like the same thing, but it's not doing the same thing. So let's hammer this out. And we're going to hammer this out using this nice blue section here. So to better describe the difference between margin and padding, let's look at a nice little metaphor. Let's say on my desk, I've got a muffin on a circular plate. And then right next to that muffin, I've got another muffin on another circular plate. Okay? 2 plates, 2 muffins, right there. You got it? It's in your head? Okay, they're delicious. You can do like a chocolate chip, right? Or a blueberry, that's a classic, right? Whatever flavor you like, that's the muffin it is, okay? Adjusting the padding is like adjusting the size of the plate. So if I'm adjusting padding at the top and the bottom or the left and the right, I'm gonna be adjusting padding between whatever my content is and the edge of this section. So if I put, it doesn't matter what I put here, let's put a button in here. All right, so there's a button. If I adjust the padding, I'm adjusting the actual size of this section by increasing the padding increasing the space between the elements I have and the edge of the container. So if I do like that, I'm increasing the padding, okay? This is like making the plate larger so that there's more space between the muffin and the edge of the plate, okay? Now, if I was to adjust margin, this would be like moving the plates further away from each other. It is the space between two sections, not within the same section in its content. So in this case, doing margin is going to increase the spacing between the whole container and the rest of the stuff in a completely other section. So the two sections are now separated by 100 pixels. Okay? You kind of got this, the difference there? I'm hoping you do. So when we're putting together these formulas, we're going to be using that sort of reasoning when we're putting these together. Okay? So let's go ahead and get rid of my button because I don't need it anymore. Go ahead and delete. Okay, so this text here, we want to move it up to where it's in line with this image because the text is extended down and the text is extended down here too. And I have a feeling, like I haven't done this before, I have a feeling that if I move this text to be in line with this top of this image, that this text will also line up with the bottom of the image, okay? So let's give that a whirl. So we're gonna use, look at that. You see that? It got rid of my paragraphs. All my paragraphs are gone now. Why does it do that? Such a bug. Bugs, bugs, bugs. Let's add a new paragraph and add a new paragraph. Okay. So in my text editor, I'm gonna go to the text edit. So now I can see in text view the H2 tag for this headline, okay? It's an H2. Inside here, I'm gonna create a class. CLASS equals with quotes. Now, what is the class I'm going to apply to this to move this up? Well, instead of thinking about moving this up, think about the fact that there's space here. And treat space as if it's a legitimate thing, like it's a real thing. Rather than saying, I want to move this up because there's nothing here, there actually is something here. It's the spacing that comes, it's the margin that comes on all headlines. You can see it here. If I hover over top this column, the headline's got some spacing here, right? Spacing, spacing. This is a margin that is applied to every headline, H1s, H2, all the way down to H6. So if I want to target the margin, my first letter is M. Now the second is the direction, top, left, right, bottom, vertical, horizontal, or all. Well, this is definitely on the top. It's above, right? It's this area on top of the text. So I'm gonna target the top. And then if I want it to go away, I would go with none. I could also go with small, medium, or large, sure, but in this example, I want none. So my formula has generated MTN. And as you can see in the pre-made examples down here on what it does, MTN is a way of getting rid of space, none. So over here in the text, I'm gonna apply class equals MTN. Boom. The text gets moved up. And now it's in line. And look at the text is in line too. Isn't that nice? Okay, so the next thing, we're want to do the same thing to this headline, but I want to show you the difference. With text, there is no, if I click text here, watch my paragraphs go away. Yep. No idea why that's happening, theme code. Come on, get on that stuff. With text, I applied the class directly in the text editor to this headline. I could have applied it here in the class line. I could have, but that class is now also applied to the rest of the text, which isn't a bad deal in this example, but if I had anything else other than that, it might have been. But with a custom headline, we have no such limitation. We have no such caution. So with a custom headline, because we don't have any type of HTML up here, we just have the headline. And the fact that the heading tags and the heading levels are dictated by these toggle switches, we have to use the ID, class, and style areas, these advanced options, to apply our CSS class. If you don't see ID, class, and style with Cornerstone, look to the bottom of the editor, the middle button where it looks like a toggle switch, and you're gonna switch on advanced controls. Then you'll be able to see them. So we'll go ahead and apply MTN here. Boom. See the headline? It moved up. It doesn't actually move up, quote unquote. It's just the spacing and the margin that's there is now gone. Okay, so think of it like there's actually two things here and I'm eliminating the first one so the second one can come up. If you think about it that way, it's actually much more easier to visualize what your formula will be. Okay, so for this one, same thing, MTN. Where did I just apply that to? The column, okay. Don't want to apply it to the column, want to apply it to the headline. There we go. MTN, good. and MTN. Good. Okay. By doing that, it moves up the other section too. So the other section is now closer. Okay. So let's give you a quick little test of our little utility class here, our little spacing helpers. Let's see if you can figure out how I would go about making this little thing that I'm gonna do work the way I want, okay? So I'm gonna add an image. Image is somewhere, here it is. I'm gonna add an image to this little box. And I'm gonna make it be, let's just make it be this one. Nah, let's just do this one, it's probably easiest. Okay, here we have an image, it's big, it's right here, but there's the spacing right below the image, okay? Now I've got section, and I've also got the image itself. What are my steps to get this image to be right up against this section, right? What do you think my steps are to do that? Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to check whether or not there's padding in the section itself. If I hover over top the section, I get a highlight of the section, and I can clearly see that the highlight of the section goes right up against this other section, but there's spacing there. So if I click that, I get to see that there's padding. Now notice I didn't say margin, right? Because if I added margin, that is applying spacing between the two. Whoops, did I just do? I did it at the top. Dummy. Dummy at the bottom. Here we go. That's gonna apply spacing between the two. Notice my highlights, they don't match up completely now. There's spacing between them. Okay, so there's clearly padding here, and I can see that there's 45 pixels of padding. So let's go ahead and remove that. Boom. Okay, now I'm looking at my section, and it's right up against it, and there's no padding at the bottom, but the image still isn't up against this section. So how do I get it to hug right up against the section? Well, we're looking at the image. If I click on this, if I even hover over top of it, you'll see that the blue area has this spacing below the image, right? You see that blue spacing right there? So we need to remove that spacing. So what would be, this little area here, what would be the formula from removing the spacing from the below this image to get from the section so that this image will butt up right up against the section? What do I look at, right? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's margin, not padding. So just like the text above, we want to eliminate the spacing that is between this and the top of its container, right? So we're getting rid of that. Okay, you figure it out yet? I'll give you another hint. It's obviously the bottom of the image, right? MB, and we want to make the spacing be none, right? So N, MBN is our formula that we're going to apply. So we need to apply MBN to this image. How do I do that? Well, I don't have any text box or anything like that, and I don't have a little H tag to add it to. So where would I do that at? If I scroll down to my advanced options, you'll see ID, class, and style are here. If I don't see these on my image, remember the toggle switch here and advanced options, turn them on, and then you'll see it, okay? So in this class line, I'm gonna write MBN. Boom. So there you go. See that? Right up against it. And you can do some really fun things that way. You can do like a person looking up and maybe they're cut off at the shoulders and you're like, I don't want to show them cut off. Well, just have this space be non-existent and you never have to worry about it. And it will stay that way, completely responsive as well. So we'll always be right up against there because you're applying it with a class. See? So I hope this tutorial video has been helpful to you guys. I'm hoping that you guys check out also the CSS classes. If you don't have X yet and you're interested in this theme and this builder and stuff, you can click the link in the annotation on the video. Also the link in the description below, and that will take you to where you can check out the theme for yourself. But yeah, this is Charlie with Pryor Media, and I hope that was helpful. Like and subscribe if you liked it, and give me a comment down below if you want any other videos on any other types of topics. If they're super broad and super complicated, I probably won't do a video on them because this is also my business and creating websites, kind of why I'm relevant. But if it's real simple stuff like this kind of stuff, or if maybe you just have a simple question that you think should be covered and a lot of other people seem to like your comment, I'll totally make a video and show you guys how to do it, okay? So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.